Hey Steelers fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome to our Pittsburgh Steelers news and rumor video here on a Thursday. A lot is going on. First, though, you guys want a Steelers mock draft with trades, potentially showing what Steelers could do in terms of trading up or trading down. If you do, like this video. I will make a Steelers mock draft with trades video if we get 400 likes here on our video today. So down below, hit that thumbs up for that video. I know you guys want it. We'll probably do it next week if we get enough likes. All right, the latest Steelers news and rumors starts with Mel Kiper's latest mock draft coming out of ESPN. We look at these, pretty often. I think Mel Kiper and Thomas Schein do a good job showing some realities of first-round actual drafts in terms of who could go early, who could go late, because a lot of us think, oh, this player is really good, he'll be there at number 20. You go watch a mock draft from Mel Kiper, and it's like, oh, they actually won't. So Kiper's latest mock draft, of course, goes to the first round, and he has the Steelers staying with the 20th overall draft pick in the first round, and taking a quarterback in Malik Willis. Yes, so you not only saw Thomas Schein release a mock draft about a week ago showing Malik Willis going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, we now have Mel Kiper doing the exact same thing and Willis going at number 20, meaning not only that the Steelers' quarterback draft type is gaining a little bit of steam, but also that the Malik Willis well into the first round has gained full steam, and I think he 100% has moved from being a third-round draft quarterback middle of the season to actually going in the first round, as most quarterbacks kind of do as you get closer to the NFL draft. Here was Kiper's thoughts on Willis. Throw it up on the screen right now. Quote, "Here's a nice landing spot for Willis, whom I mentioned will need some time to adjust to the spread of the speed of the NFL. He didn't have a ton of talent around him at Liberty, and he was sacked an FBS high 51 times last season. He shouldn't be asked to play in Week 1 in September. If he goes to Pittsburgh, he'll compete with Mason Rudolph and Dwayne Haskins, and potentially another short-term veteran, and won't be pressured to play immediately. Though the Steelers aren't going to rebuild in the post-Ben Roethlisberger era, Willis is the most talented quarterback in the class, in my opinion. But he can be erratic with his accuracy. He also doesn't have the tools to be successful, but he'll need to be coached hard," end quote. Now, it's interesting when you actually look at Malik Willis, and if you throw the tape on, the YouTube highlights show the good parts, but there were some bad. And accuracy is a massive issue for Malik Willis, and the fact he played at Liberty. Now, plenty of NFL quarterbacks have come out of small-name schools and been very, very successful, and so it's not a knock that you played at Liberty, but you also got to realize he wasn't playing along or next to or against any sort of legit talent. I mean, you can't name anybody on the Liberty Flames besides Malik Willis this past season. At least I can't. The numbers are good. They're not phenomenal. They're not what you would want someone to do at a small school like Liberty, but still, I do think Malik Willis makes a ton of sense for the Steelers at number 20. Although, let me just say this. I think drafting a quarterback feels like a last option for the Steelers. I think they're going to try to make a trade or sign somebody in free agency. I think that if you get through free agency and, the trade deadline, or when the trade starts here in about 2 weeks, if they don't get a quarterback then, they don't get a quarterback in free agency, then they will settle on drafting a quarterback and starting Mason Rudolph, and then, egging that person along in terms of Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, Matt Corral, or somebody else. So I do think that quarterback is an option at 20, but it would be a last resort to me because I do think the Pittsburgh Steelers feel like they can add a veteran and be very, very successful with the current roster that they have going into 2022. Add break, pin comment down below. Would you rather draft or trade for a quarterback? Let me know. Type D down below for draft or type T down below for trade. All right, now obviously the NFL Combine is happening right now, meaning that a lot of front office personnel are in front of microphones, including the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the current GM gave an update on Stephon Tuitt's situation for 2022, saying, quote, he's excited, end quote, about Tuitt playing for Pittsburgh. Now, naturally, he is supposed to play for Pittsburgh because if you look at his contract, he is signed through 2022 and has $14 million heading towards him in the last year of his deal. The problem is that we don't know what he's going to do, right? He's had numerous injuries, including a knee issue last season. There's been talks of retirement. There's been talks of being cut. There's been talks of being traded. Like, we don't know what's going to happen with Stephon Tuitt. However, there does seem to be some growing, I think, excitement inside the organization, thinking that this star defensive end will go ahead and maybe come back and hopefully get back to what he did a couple of years ago. I mean, the numbers that this guy can potentially put out when he is healthy and mind's in the right spot and he's not, battling injuries and the stress of having to deal with that week in and week out are phenomenal. I mean, he is absolutely great. And you take a current Steelers defensive line and you make it even better. I mean, can you imagine Tuitt and TJ Watt coming after you? We've seen it briefly at times, but not consistently over the course of a 17-18 game season. So the update on Tuitt is good. However, there is still some question marks in terms of what actually is going to happen. And listen, I like to know sooner rather than later. Like, it'd be nice if Tuitt would give us like a, hey, I want to retire. Hey, I want to come back, because as free agency approaches, Pittsburgh has a ton of money in free agency, and they probably want to spend it. They probably want to go and get another pass rusher potentially in free agency, or spend it for a pass rusher in the first round of the NFL draft. Either way, we hope Tuitt comes back. It looks like he is trending in that direction, but there's been no official update, even though Steelers GM went ahead and gave a small, minor update at the NFL Combine just yesterday. Drop a like, though, if you guys hope Tuitt plays for Pittsburgh in 2022. I think most people do. Drop a like down below. Give this video a thumbs up. Before we're going to get into Jameis Winston and Louis Riddick's GM interview over the past couple of days in Indianapolis, quick shout out to our friends at BetUS, our sponsor for today's video. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code Steelers125. Get a 125% deposit bonus whenever you first sign up, and get going on March Madness. I wore my Baylor t-shirt. They will hopefully be a #1 as they were last year after winning the whole thing. I bet with my BetUS account on Baylor winning the Natty right before the actual tournament brackets came out. Won a bunch of money. If you guys want to jump in on the game, do it with our friends at BetUS. Chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code Steelers125. You see the link on your screen right now. Okay, a couple of quick notes here, and then we'll wrap the video up. Louis Riddick, we mentioned weeks ago, was going to interview for the Steelers' upcoming vacant GM job after the NFL draft, has officially finally interviewed for the vacant GM job. Again, this was reported like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, oh, that means it's going to happen this weekend. And then we found out yesterday that it happened the day before. And so finally, officially, he has done his interview. Riddick has been one of those guys that, comes from being a director of player personnel with Philadelphia back in 2012. He has front office experience, but hasn't been in a front office really since 2012. I mean, since then, he's been an ESPN analyst, and a darn good one. But does being an ESPN analyst translate to being a good GM? Mike Mayock with the NFL Network says, maybe, maybe not. And so I'd be curious to see what the Steelers will do with their GM position. But Louis Riddick, a fan favorite, did interview, and so we'll keep an eye on him potentially replacing Kevin Colbert once Colbert finishes this year's NFL draft. We'll wrap up with some thoughts from Adam Schein on the Steelers quarterback situation, most notably around Jameis Winston. Now, if you're not following the Jameis Winston situation, you don't go on Twitter at all. You're seeing he's rehabbing, of course, his major lower leg injury that took place in the middle of the season with the Saints this past season. He was playing very good football until he had the injury. He's expected to be back in 100%. However, who will sign him? Who will give him a big contract? Will someone want to sign him to a long-term deal, a short-term deal? Who knows? Well, Adam Schein, NFL analyst, went ahead and spoke on Jameis Winston and says that not only is this a good fit for the Steelers, but it makes a ton of sense even if they want to draft a quarterback. We'll throw that quote up on your screen right now. Quote, with Winston coming off knee surgery, the price tag shouldn't be too steep for the former #1 overall pick. Scoop him up and then supplement that move by drafting a quarterback of the future who can marinate behind the 28-year-old. It's not a great quarterback class, but I'm into 2 passers from the group. I really like Pittsburgh's product, Kenny Pickett, a lot. He reminds me of Ryan Tannehill. That's a compliment. That's a guy who you can win with. Meanwhile, Malik Willis oozes raw talent. If Pittsburgh can get Jameis to hold down the fort in 2022, Willis would be a perfect draft and develop candidate, end quote. I don't hate this. I don't think this is a bad idea, although you do have to make the decision, are you going to keep 3 quarterbacks on your roster, 4 quarterbacks on your roster? Because you need Jameis. Mason Rudolph is signed through 2022. They've talked about bringing back Dwayne Haskins and then add Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis. Like, that's a lot of quarterbacks in the quarterback room and a lot of quarterbacks who want to be starting. I mean, there are people that think Dwayne Haskins should be a starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not me, but other people in 2022. So, it's an interesting thought. It's something to keep an eye on. I do think, like I said earlier, Pittsburgh will look to free agency and the trade market before drafting a quarterback. I don't think you need both. I think you pick one, and then you wait for maybe next year's quarterback draft class. Let's say if Winston doesn't pan out, or if the knee injury is not fully healed, or he doesn't just play as well as you would like him to go ahead and do. We'll end on this, though. Interest level in Jameis Winston, scale of 1 to 10. Right? How interested are you in Jameis Winston? Let me know down below right now. I'm up there. There are some other free agent options, really trade options like Jimmy Garoppolo, who I like a lot better, but that's just me. Give me your thoughts down below, though, right now in the comment section. All right, ultimate today on our Pittsburgh Steelers news and rumor video. If you guys have any sort of questions you want to ask me on Twitter, go ahead and follow me on Twitter at @RealThomasMott and use our mailbag, be a part of our mailbag video down below right now using the hashtag Steelers. Ask any sort of Steelers-related question that you want, and hopefully, if it's good enough and you're a subscriber, I will answer. For our Steelers video, Thomas Mott signing off. To the rest of your day.